Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and a warm welcome if you're new, honey. So today we're gonna get into the disappearance and then the reappearance of Jamal White Jr. And also we're gonna take a look at the clip when he first was kidnapped and his father left him, literally abandoned him. So if you're ready to get into this story, just stay tuned. When this situation of a kidnapping first went viral, most people's thoughts were maybe some type of trafficking. It was probably just a bunch of random people that are trying to get a child, and abduct and traffic them. But as time went on, a lot was revealed that was hidden in the dark. The first red flag to a lot of people was seeing the actual abduction video. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. You can see a white car slowly pull up. People start to get out. And now they're running towards the house. The dad, instantly goes inside, closes the door. The kid's running. The dad literally just left him. And now you see the guy holding the kid, bringing him back to the car. I honestly feel like the dad could have prevented that. Now they're just pulling off. And now he comes back outside. This is ridiculous. And he hits the car, but makes no attempt to chase this car. I'm confused. You have a car right in front of you. You're not going to chase after your child? That's just a little strange to me. But the silver lining in this situation is that Jamal White Jr. has been found, and he was found less than 24 hours after disappearing. The only thing is that he has yet to see either one of his parents because his mother got arrested for a parole violation and his father is still being investigated. So I guess they're just trying to make sure that everything's good with the dad before they return him back. Now, y'all remember that video that we just watched of him pretty much ditching his kid? Well, he doubled down on a Facebook post, so let's go ahead and look at that. On his Facebook page, he says, "Hell yeah, I ran. I'm thinking they trying to rob me, not take my damn baby. Y'all slow. We both alive and my baby tried to get away like I taught him. More like how you showed him, because you sure did take off on him. Anyway, God had us the whole time. Obviously, I did right. My baby's safe." Now, let me just say this. Just because your baby is safe does not mean that you did right. I truly feel like you should have tried to chase the car. I don't feel like you should have just ran in and maybe not got like a weapon or something like that. In this moment, I would condone that because at this point, this is self-defense. You're defending your family. So if you have to run inside to go get a weapon and then you're coming right back out, that's different. But you ran in there and you stayed in there until the car took off. And then you made a statement saying that you saw the car drive off. So I'm like, are you looking through the window? Looking at all this happening, not even trying to get your kid? Like, what's really going on? And remember earlier when I said the mom and the dad still haven't been able to see the kid yet? Well, the dad actually made a Facebook post kind of in reference to that. So let's go ahead and take a look. The dad says, "Y'all foul as hell painting them crazy ass narratives. Even the police treating me like I'm the bad guy. As long as my baby's straight, all that ever mattered. I still ain't seen my baby face to face. The police locked me all day Saturday questioning me, even when I told them everything I knew. All while my baby was still missing. Free Top. P. I don't owe nobody nothing but my baby Jay." I believe Top is actually his brother, his twin brother, and we're going to get into him in a little bit. At least eventually he saw the error of his ways because he made a Facebook post pretty much admitting and saying like, okay, he knows he's wrong. He said, "First I set it up, then my brother kidnapped my son. Now I'm wrong for leaving my son. I know I effed up, y'all. Y'all ain't got to tell me. My son good though. Y'all wanted to paint every picture of me to be the bad guy. I can't win with y'all, but I won with my kid. Remember this, the internet." Me personally, I don't even think he won with his kid because most kids, they have like memories that last with them forever. So I hope not, but it's a strong chance that your kid's going to remember you pretty much taking off on him as he's getting abducted. And then also in another statement, They interviewed Jamal White Jr., and he said that the ransom people were on the phone with his mother. However, she said she was going to come and get him, but she never showed up, and he was like tearing up as he was remembering that. So both of you guys failed your son 1,000%, and you have to hold yourselves accountable for that. But for the most part, you would think that this story would be over because now the kid has returned home, right? Well, no, actually, very, very wrong. So come to find out, this whole situation happened because it was originally a ransom scheme intended for the mother, Siobhan Williams. And this whole situation is crazy because allegedly she is a known drug dealer, and this ransom was intended for $100K and jewelry. But one of the criminals came out and said that he never intended for them to take the child, and he did not agree with that part of the scheme. And at that point, originally, they agreed to give him $10K, but he then asked for more now that a child was involved, and I'm assuming the situation is even more dangerous. Now, I already know that was a whole lot of information I just gave y'all, and I'm pretty sure some of you are like, wait, what? So I do have the court documents here that are going to explain everything in chronological order, so let's go ahead and get into it. The defendant, that's Corey Williams, stated that they removed the license plate from the Jeep and that BC and another individual under investigation at this time both brought guns to commit the robbery. So I've been looking up and down all on Google, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I still don't know who BC is. So if you guys know, go ahead and put that in the comments. But what I do know is that the person who they keep saying is another individual is actually the underage accomplice that they had with them that helped them with the kidnapping. And just so y'all know, the kid was only like 13 or 14, which is just so crazy. But anyway, in the highlighted part, it says the plan was to go to SW's residence and rob her at gunpoint. The defendant stated that they left his residence at around 5 p.m. that day and drove to SW's residence. So this is around the time where everything took place. The defendant stated that he was the driver of the Jeep, BC was the rear passenger, and the other individual was in the front passenger seat. Both BC and the other individual were wearing masks. So that means that Corey was just like barefaced while the other two wore masks, which is crazy. I don't know why you would do that, and everybody else is masked up, but whatever. The defendant stated that when they got to SW's residence, they waited, but they never saw SW. BC then suggested that they rob JW Sr., so that's Jamal White Sr., the child's dad, instead. Now, on Friday, July 11th, 2025, I'm not going to read the whole address, in the city of Milwaukee, they drove in the Jeep to that residence and saw JDW and his father, JWSR, in front of the residence. JDW was riding a bike at the time. BC and the other individual exited the Jeep with handguns and ran at JW Sr. JW Sr. ran into the house and BC grabbed the individual grabbed JDW. BC took JDW into the Jeep, and then the defendant drove away with all four individuals at a high rate of speed. The defendant stated that while driving away, he got into an argument with BC and the other individual for taking JDW. The defendant stated that the plan then changed, and the other individual contacted SW later that night and demanded $100K in jewelry in exchange for JDW, and they were going to meet at a nearby park. The defendant stated that he was originally promised $10K for his part, but demanded more after JDW was taken. The defendant stated that SW never showed for the meeting, and once they became aware of the Amber Alert for JDW, BC and the other individual left JDW and the defendant at the defendant's residence. The defendant stated that there were conversations of whether the other individual or BC should harm JDW to show that they were serious, but that was not acted upon. The defendant finally stated that when police arrived to his residence, he hid in the attic and left JDW in a bedroom. Now, those were the court docs, but I saw something pretty interesting on one of these news stations that reported on the story. They actually said that JDW, which is Baby J, had a I don't even know if I can say that word, meth, amphetamine pill, in his pocket, which is just so random and weird. But honestly, I don't know how much I trust this news station, because they also said that they found the 7-year-old hiding in the attic, but in the court documents, the defendant stated that he hid in the attic and he left the child in a bedroom. So I don't know, it's a little bit of a discrepancy there. As I was looking up this story, I noticed that they were talking about how Corey Williams made some type of post saying that kids were off limits, and it was very ironic because he's in a situation where, a child was kidnapped. However, if we go back to the court documents, it said that he was kind of upset that they even took the child. So let's go ahead and look at that Instagram post. The caption of the post says, "Niggas really be bitches, kids off limits." I definitely feel like he was throwing shade at the other two people involved, just by pretty much saying like, we done got ourselves into a big old pot of shit because y'all decided to take a child, and now I'm pissed. But that's what you get when you're trying to rob somebody. I mean, everything is not always gonna go according to plan. Y'all already doing something illegal. You think y'all come up with a plan, the people involved gonna follow all the rules to the T? Come on now. If you're gonna be a criminal, at least be a smart one. But clearly that's not the case here. So anyway, as for Corey, who was 25 years old, he was charged on July 17th with being a party to the crime of kidnapping with intent to transfer property, taking hostages, and contributing to the delinquency of a child. The last charge relates to one of Williams' alleged accomplices in the abduction, who was only 14 years old. This charge alleges Williams deliberately encouraged or contributed to a 14-year-old's actions amounting to felony-level offenses. Oh my good Lord. And as for the other two, on July 17th, police also said that they arrested a 38-year-old man and the 14-year-old boy in relation to the abduction, and intend to refer criminal charges to the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office. The department is not seeking additional suspects, it said in an email, and charges have not been filed against either of the two in the adult court system as of noon on July 18th. The 14-year-old may face charges in juvenile court. The names of juvenile defendants tried in juvenile court are not publicly available in Wisconsin. Well, it seems like Corey is in the biggest amount of trouble, probably because he drove, and they might be thinking that he orchestrated the whole thing. He might have, I just don't know. But yeah, he's the one being called out the most, because BC, I still don't know who that is, and the other individual who's a minor, they're not going to share his first or last name either. So Corey is on the front line of all of this, and I just want to ask him, like, Corey, was it really worth it? Because I guarantee you didn't even get paid what you thought you was going to get paid, sweetie. Like, it was not worth it at all. And y'all know I saved the best for last. So we're going to have two messy topics to cover. Number one is his twin brother. What is his name? Jamal White. He has a twin brother named Jamal White, and it seems like his brother is like a little bit more on go compared to him. It's giving like smoke and stack off of Sinners, if you know, you know. But the reason why I say this is because a couple days after the whole situation happened, Jamal, the twin brother, ended up going to jail because there was a suspicious car that kept driving by after this kidnapping, and he ended up shooting at the car. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So apparently Jamal's dad has a twin brother by the name of Jamal White, who was arrested for shooting at a suspicious car that was riding slow past the home where the abduction occurred shortly after the incident. They are dragging Jamal in the comments, also known as Mal785 on Facebook, for leaving his child outside while running in the house during the abduction instead of protecting him. His father, Delano V. White, is a minister at a church. He's responding to negative comments that are geared towards his twin sons, Jamal and Jamel. He posted a pic and stated, "Jamal and Jamel are best friends in real life, so don't speculate about his time away." I believe this was the person in my read. Child, I think she's into tarot cards and stuff. If that's your thing, that's cool. That's just not my thing. Anyway, we're going to skip past that. If you've been following this story, it's evident that baby Jay's father was in the streets, and the mother, Paris Marie, is no stranger to the lifestyle. Were the abductors trying to rob Jamal? Why did they take the child instead? Now, if you ask me, I think they took the child instead because that was pretty much the closest thing that they could get to Siobhan, because they initially changed the plan and they decided they were going to get the father, but the father ran off and closed and locked the door, honey. So they couldn't get him. However, the child was still outside. And you have to keep in mind that they were originally trying to rob Siobhan anyway. So the closest thing to her not only is the baby dad, but definitely her child, you know? So I think that's why they did it. But if you think anything else, go ahead and leave that in the comments as well. Another messy rumor that I saw on Facebook was that people were believing that the mom and the dad had a plan to start a GoFundMe and to raise a bunch of money, but the kid was found a little bit too quickly, so they weren't able to do that. And I actually think that this rumor stemmed from the fact that they said that the detective said that the mother was uncooperative during most of this investigation. So I'm sure that sparked a little bit of curiosity. People were wondering why and things like that. But this has actually been disproven. That is not the reason why any of this happened. Like we said from the beginning, the reason why this happened is because the mother is allegedly a well-known drug dealer and she got that guap. So they were trying to rob her, and this just completely spun out of control. To show you what I'm talking about, a lot of these posts don't even have the facts straight. For example, on this post, when they're talking about the GoFundMe, they're showing Siobhan as the mom and they're showing the uncle as the dad. That is actually Jamal White. That is the twin. That is not Jamal White. So you really have to pay attention online and take everything with a grain of salt, because just like I've seen these, I'm sure you have too, and they're absolutely not true. I would recommend you do your own research and see what some of these people look like, because that way you can tell a fake post immediately. Because as soon as I saw this post, I knew it was fake, because that is not the dad. So if you don't even know who the dad is, I'm pretty sure you don't know anything else about the case. No tea, no shade, just facts, okay? But I know this was quite a long video. I have seen a lot of you guys' comments. I saw that you guys are kind of feeling the longer videos. So I'll test it out. I'll see what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. And if you made it this far, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell. That way you're notified every time I post. And in the meantime, y'all, please be careful out here. Don't believe everything you see, because this world is cray-cray. Okay, love you. Bye.